Hello everyone, and today we are going to have a brief discussion about the strength of material, and this is one of the compulsory course that is in your BTech, and the code is AME 302, and this is a compulsory paper. And myself Thiyapal, Assistant Professor of Department of Mechanical Engineering, JIS College of Engineering, is going to give a brief lecture, as well as we are going to elaborately discuss about all the properties of the material, why strength of material is required, what is strength of material in this first lecture. So without delay, let's have a look at the content. So in the content, the first thing is that introduction of strength of materials. Next, we are going to discuss about what are the characteristics of material, and then we are going to discuss about the various mechanical properties of metal. Then we will be discussing about the type of stresses and strain that are involved in this particular content. And next will be lastly but not that we are going to discuss about the stress-strain diagram for ductile material, as well as brittle material, as well as several materials too. And of course at the end we'll be also discussing the various failures that are occurring in the particular subject. Now before we proceed with the content, let's have a look at the objective. Okay, what are the objective of our subject? First of all, to understand the nature of stress that is developed in simple geometric such as bar, cantilever beam, shaft, cylinder, spears for various type of simple loading. Next come to calculate the elastic deformation that are occurring in various simple geometric for different types of loading. Now let's go for the course objective outcome. Now we are talking about the course outcome, and the first thing is that here we are going to apply the knowledge of mathematics in analyzing tensile and compressive strain, as well as to able to understand and identify compound stresses which is developed in a material. Next we are going to study about the various effect of torsion on beam and column for variety of loading condition which boost industrial scale. It also outcome is to able to understand and to determine the shear force and bending moment for designing system component to meet the desired characteristic from economic, environmental and social consideration. And last but not the least, that is to able to analyze the beam stress for a safe and sustainable design application and to apply in a constructive project. So already you are aware of the course outcome, course objective of strength of material. So now we will be having a brief look, or you can say we'll be coming directly to the topic about the introduction of strength of material today. So let's have a look there.
So already we have discussed about the strength of material, its course objective, course outcome. So now it is important to know that what is strength of material. But one more thing is that before going to know about strength of material, it is very important for us to know the basic principle of mechanics. Okay, so if I talk about the basic principle, the first matter arise the few definitions that are associated with this particular subject. It is the matter. What do you mean by matter? Matter is any substance that occupies space. Next term, it is particle. Basically, particle in solid geometry is analogous and to a point in the plane geometry. A particle basically has a mass but has no dimension. Next, we talk about the body. What is body? Body is a matter that is bounded by a closed surface, and body can be classified as rigid and deformable. So now it's very important for us to know what is a rigid body. A rigid body is a body that does not undergo any deformation, change in shape and size on application of a force. So all bodies in nature are deformable on application of sufficiently large forces. We would not have been able to fabricate anything that use in day-to-day life if the bodies were not deformable. Next, it is important for us to know what is deformable body. So from this particular thing we can come to a conclusion is that a deformable body is one that undergoes deformation, change in shape and size on application of a force. Material have different degree of deformation on application of forces. For example, if I consider a rubber, then it undergo deformation on application of a small force. But if I consider steel, on the other hand, it requires a large amount of force to deform it. Thus, it is necessary to compute the deformation of the body, and it is done in many forms of analysis. So, if I talk about that what is strength of material, then the first and foremost thing that arises is that strength of material is the property of the material by virtue of which the material can resist external force that is applied to it per unit of its cross-section area. So guys, hope you have understand that what do you mean by strength of material. In another way, we can also say that strength of material is a branch of applied mechanics that deals with the behavior of solid bodies subjected to various types of loading and internal forces developed due to this loading. A thorough understanding of mechanical behavior is essential for the safe design of all the structures, whether building, bridges, machines, motor, submarines or airplane. Hence, strength of material is a basic subject in many engineering fields. Now, the objective of our analysis will be to determine the stress, strain and deflection produced by the load in different structure. Though theoretical analysis and experimental result have equal important role in the study of strength of material. So these quantities are found for all values of load up to the failure load. Then we will have to complete the picture of the mechanical behavior of the body. Now the behavior of a member subjected to forces depends not only on the fundamental law of Newtonian mechanics that govern the equilibrium of the force, but also on mechanical characteristic of material of which the member is fabricated. Sometime to predict the behavior of material, some necessary information regarding to characteristic of material comes from the laboratory test also. So strength of material is also known as mechanics of material. And as I have already told, it deals with the behavior of the solid object subjected to stress and strain. The complete theory begins with the consideration of the behavior of one and two-dimensional member of the structure, whose state of the stress can be approximated as two-dimensional and was then generalized to three-dimensional to develop more complete theory of the elastic and plastic behavior of material. Now we are talking about the classification of material. So if I talk about the classification of material, then basically it has been categorized into three categories. One is elastic material, next is plastic material, and finally it is the rigid material. Now, elastic material is that material which undergoes deformation when external force is applied to it. It also regains its original dimension after the withdrawal of external forces from it. So again I repeat, elastic material is that material which undergoes deformation when external force is applied to it, and it regains its original dimensions after the withdrawal of external forces from it. Now if I talk about the plastic material, then plastic material is that material which undergoes continuous deformation so long as the external force continue to act on it, and basically does not regain its original position as long as the external force continue to act on it, and it does not regain its original dimension also even after the withdrawal of the external force from it. So in other words, deformation of plastic material is always permanent. What I was telling, that deformation of plastic material is always permanent. So here we are having permanent deformation. Now we will be talking about rigid material. As the term rigid, you can come to a conclusion that it is such type of material which does not undergo any deformation under the action of external force applied to it, whatever may be the magnitude of this force is there. So hope you are able to understand what are the types of material that basically we deal with the strength of material subject, and what are their properties from this particular statement. Now we are going to have a basic look for mechanical properties of material. As I've already told you that since this subject is strength of material, before going with the process, it is very essential for us to know about the various properties of metal. So mechanical properties. The characteristic of material that describe the behavior under the action of external load are referred to its mechanical properties. And the common mechanical properties are as follows. So first we are going to discuss about the strength. Yes, since it is strength of material, so our first topic that we are covering is about the strength. It is the ability, or you can say it is the ability of the material to resist the load without the fracture or the failure. And it is usually expressed or measured in terms of maximum load per unit area, which is also known as maximum stress or ultimate strength. A material can withstand failure, and it varies according to the type of loading. And further, the strength is divided into three types, that are tensile strength, compressive strength, and shear strength. So now we will be discussing about the tensile strength. As you can see, this is an object and two types of load has been there which is pulling it. So this is tensile. The tensile strength or tenacity is defined as the ability of the material to resist a stretching, that is the tensile load, without any failure. So you can see this is the object and the stretching is performed here. Now we are going to talk about the compressive strength. Compressive strength, you can see this is the object and from two portion a compressive load has been applied. So this is also the same type of thing, that is the ability of material to resist the squeezing. Squeezing means compressive load. When you are applying, it is getting squeezed without fracture. then it is known as compressive strain. Now we are talking about the shear strain. You can see this is a joint, and you can see here there is a bolt, and you are going to shear the plane. So shear strength is the ability of the material to resist transverse load. That is, the load tendency to separate or cut the material is called the shear strength. So is that clear to all of you? What do you mean by shear strength? Next we will be talking about the stiffness. So what do you think about stiffness? Anyone? Any idea about the stiffness? Okay. So now let's have a look for the term stiffness. Stiffness is the ability of the material to resist a deformation or deflection under the load within the elastic limit, and stiffness is always measured by the modulus of elasticity, which is generally denoted by E. Modulus of elasticity. So now we will be talking about the elasticity property. So if I talk about the property elasticity, for an instant you just assume that we are applying a load to a specimen, so that the strain and stress is occurring in that particular sample. Further, when the load is removed, if the material follow exactly the same curve to get back to its original position, then the property by which the original dimension, that is the length and its cross section, can be recovered after unloading is known as elasticity. So again I am repeating, elasticity is the property of a material to regain its original shape after the deformation when the external force is removed. This property is desirable for material used in tools and machines. It may be noted that steel is much more elastic than rubber. Now, within elastic limit curve, it can be linear or it can be non-linear. And during loading material, stored elastic energy also in that particular curve. If the total strain energy which can be stored in the given volume of the metal and can be released after unloading, then it is called as resilience. Again I am repeating, the total strain energy which is stored in the given volume of the metal which can be released after unloading, then it is known as resilience. It is also equal to the area under the load deflection curve within elastic limit. And when the elastic limit coincides with the yield stress, the maximum elastic energy per unit volume is also known as modulus of resilience. Now the modulus of resilience depends upon the yield strength, and hence the material with higher yield strength will be having higher modulus of resilience. Higher modular of resilience is desirable in suspension, spring, where load absorption is required. Now next we are going to follow the plasticity property. Now what is plasticity? As you can see, the term plasticity we are talking about, then I must say it is the property of the material which retain the deformation produced under the load permanent, and it is also known as permanent deformation also. And this property of material is necessary for forging, stamping image on coin, and ornamental work also. Now next we will be discussing about the proof stress. What is proof stress is that in some ductile metal like aluminium, copper, silver, they do not show clear yielding point in tension test. Therefore, yield stress is not clearly known. So for such type of metal designs or designing stress is calculated by offset method. An offset of permanent plastic strain which is equal to 0.2% is marked on x-axis, and a straight line is drawn from which parallel to the initial portion of the stress strain curve. And the point of interaction of the stress-strain curve with a straight line is proof point, and this is considered to be as proof stress. So now we will be discussing about the next property, that is the ductility. So it is the property of the material enabled to be drawn into wear with the application of tensile force. And you can say that a ductile material must be both strong and plastic, because the ductility is usually measured by the term percentage of elongation and percentage of reduction in area. And the ductility material is commonly used in engineering practices, and the material that we are using for ductility are mild steel, copper, aluminium, nickel, zinc, tin and lead. Now we will be talking about the term malleability. What is malleability? That is, you are making it into a thin sheet. In a case, ductility, which permits the material to be rolled or hammered into a thin sheet. A malleable material should be plastic, but it is not essential to be so strong. And the most important thing is that the malleable material commonly used in engineering practices are lead, soft steel, wrought iron, copper and aluminium. Now we are going to have the next term, that is toughness. What is toughness? The property which enables material to absorb energy without fracture. This property is very desirable in case of cyclic loading or shocking loading. If a metal is tough, then it has the ability to store large strain energy before fracture. So modulus of toughness is the total strain energy per unit volume up to fracture stage. It is equal to the total area under the stress-strain curve up to fracture. Now the modulus of toughness depends upon the ultimate tensile strength and strain at failure, which is also known as the fracture strain. Hence, the material which is very ductile will exhibit a higher modulus of toughness, as the case with mild steel. Here what has been told is that it is the property of material to resist fracture, obviously due to high impact load, like hammer blow, means suddenly you are implementing a load over the material. It should have that property to resist that particular load, impact load. Now the toughness of the material decreases when it is heated, and it is measured by the amount of energy that a unit volume of the material has been absorbed after being stressed up to the point of fracture. And this property is desirable in parts subjected to shock and impact load also. Now next property is your brittleness. So the term brittleness, it itself defines that it is the property of material, that is breaking of a material without or with the little permanent distortion. It is just opposite of ductility. As you can see, if the property of metal is having the ductility property, it is getting the increase in toughness. But brittleness is just opposite of ductility. So it is very important for us that it is just opposite of ductility. And it is the property of breaking of a metal with little permanent distortion. Brittle material, when subjected to tensile load, snap off without giving any sensible elongation. And you know, one of the most important example is cast iron, which is brittle material. Now we are talking about the hardness. So what is hardness? That is, it is defined as the ability of the material to resist scratching or indentation or penetration by any other hard body. Hardness is directly related to the strength. So what are the hardness? It has to get resisted the indentation, scratches, rebound, or you can talk about the penetration. So indentation hardness is of a particular interest to engineer and is most commonly used. Indentation hardness can be measured by different method and classified based on how it is measured. So hardness is basically measured in the three way. You're going to use a hardness tester. It can be Rockwell. It can be Weaker. So in this particular process, you are going to it can be Brinell hardness test also to measure the hardness of the material. So what are the three procedures? One is the Brinell hardness test, one is the Rockwell hardness test, another is the Vickers hardness test. Now we will be talking about the creep. So what is creep? That is when a part is subjected to a constant strain at a high temperature for a long period of time, it will undergo a slow and permanent deformation, which is known as creep. And this property is considered in designing internal combustion engine boiler and turbine. Next, we will be discussing about the fatigue. It has been found that material behave differently under the static and dynamic loading. In cycle or reverse cycling loading, if total accumulated strain energy exceeds the stiffness, then the fracture may occur or the failure may occur. Now, factors affecting the fatigue are loading condition, frequency of loading, third is corrosion, fourth is temperature, and fifth is stress concentration. So what are the 5 factors that affect the fatigue are? 5 factors if I talk about, then they are loading condition, frequency of loading, corrosion, temperature, stress concentration. The number of load cycle required to initiate surface crack is called fatigue initiation life. An additional number of load cycle required to propagate surface crack is also called fatigue propagation life. Now, to prevent fatigue failure, the development stress should be kept below the endurance limit. Endurance limit is that stress below which the material has a high probability of non-failure even at infinite number of load cycle. So, already I have mentioned you the 5 factors that are affecting the fatigue test. So, again, if I come to a conclusion for fatigue, then I can say that when a material is subjected to a repeated stress, it fails at stresses below the yield point stress. And such types of failure of material is known as fatigue. And the failure is caused by the means of progressive crack formation, which are usually fine and microscopic size. The property is considered in designing shaft, connecting rod, spring gears, etc. So these are going to be used while considering the design for shaft, connection rod or connecting rod, spring, gear, and etc. Now we have talking about the resilience. Already I have described you the resilience in the previous time when I was mentioning the term ductility. So I would like to just summarize it. It is the property of material to absorb energy and to resist shock and the impact load. And it is measured by the amount of energy absorbed per unit volume. So it is always measured by the energy absorbed per unit volume. And this property is essential for spring material also. Now the next property is your machinability. So it is the property of material which refers to the relative cases with which a material can be cut. And the machinability of a material can be measured in a number of ways, such as comparing the tool life for cutting different material, or thrust required to remove the material at some given rate, or the energy required to remove a unit volume of the material. It may be noted that brass can be easily machined than steel. Now we will be talking about the weldability. As the term weldability is coming, the most important thing is that it is the ability of a material to be joined by welding. Weldability depends on chemical composition, physical properties and heat treatment to which they are subjected. Next term is castability. It is also one of the property of material. Castability of a metal refers to the ease with which it can be cast into different shape, and it is concerned with behavior of the metal in its molten state. Next we are talking about strain hardening. So the strain hardening or the straining effect produced in metal by plastic deformation, or you can term as cold working, is called strain hardening, or it is also known as work hardening. Generally, strain hardening reduces ductility and corrosion resistance, but it raises the hardness and electrical resistance also. Now we will move to the types of material behavior. So this is a linear elastic. This is your stress, this is your strain, and you can see the curve is getting elongated proportionally. Next, for non-linear elastic material, the stress strain curve is how much? To some extent it is linear, then it is getting little bit curve. Now if for elastoplastic or viscoplastic, you can see for stress strain curve, to some extent it is getting linear, then it is getting constant. But if you are talking about perfectly plastic material, then the stress strain curve will be just a constant line. Now for elastoplastic with strain hardening, the stress strain curve will be, to some extent it is linear, then again it is getting gradually increased. For ideal rigid, there is no stress and stress curve. For ideal fluid also there is no stress and stress curve. So for today, in this particular lecture of strength of material, in my first lecture, we have already discussed about what are the various properties of material, that is basically we are dealing with this particular subject. So hope you have understood that what is strength of material, why it is required, which type of body we are subjected for this particular study, and what are the basic properties of material, what is the stress strain curve for various material from this particular lecture. So in my next lecture we will be discussing elaborately about the stress, strain and various type of loads, and we are going to talk about the stress strain curve for ductile material, for brittle material also elaborately. So please stay connected with me. If you have liked my video, then please subscribe the channel and like the video and share the video. So for today, thank you. Thank you very much.